Understanding price action is one of the most crucial keys to understand and learn how to day trade. I'm going to talk to you today about a very basic understanding of price action and how it all works. That and more, all coming up. So price action, what is it? How does it work? How can it help you become a better day trader? Well, I'm going to go over that in just a sec, but first I want to welcome you to this channel. Hi, my name is Brad, and this is Own the Chaos. The stock market is a crazy and chaotic place to try to master, and I've made it my personal mission to help you own it. So if you want to see more content such as this, I certainly would appreciate a thumbs up, and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content such as this. Also, make sure to hit that bell button so that you get notified every time I put a video out. Now, price action, what is it? Well, basically, it is like it sounds, and so price action really can be determined and observed over the use of candles and understanding how they all work as well. Now, I'm going over this video with, you at least in hopes that you at least have a basic understanding of how candles work, how trading candles work, but I'm going to give you a good visual here on my screen here. I'm going to share this with you, show you ThinkOrSwim or TD Ameritrade here. So I have ThinkOrSwim pulled up here. This is a very popular platform. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it or have used it before. And I'm going to talk to you about PCG. So PCG, I just traded this one today. Now, if you're watching it, this is the day prior, but trading this one, and I was showing my folks in my mentorship group how price action works. And this one worked out perfectly. So as you can see here, PCG was a little bit all over the place in the morning and then started to kind of move up. And so I was starting to draw some lines of support and resistance. And then I noticed this. So you saw this huge green candle go up and some consolidation, and it started to go up yet again. And so found this area of resistance here, and see how you notice that these green candles are starting to get smaller and smaller. Well, that indicates to us that potentially what's going on here is that as it approaches this resistance, the momentum of this buying starts to go slower and slower, and that there's a very high chance that potentially this could get rejected right at that resistance. Whenever you see these candles starting to get smaller as it approaches that resistance price, the higher the chance or the likelihood that it'll get some sort of rejection. Sure enough, it did. And so what I was looking for was the same thing to happen yet again on the sell side. So I wanted to look to see how selling was going to slow down here. Sure enough, it did. And again, this is on a 5-minute chart if you're wondering. So I could see this huge red candle here, and then yet a smaller one, and then once again another smaller candle, and then it came down here and rejected that support line and started to make a move this way. So I monitored this as I started to see this green candle develop, and then was able to take a position at 985, and then started to watch and observe this yet again. So this was a very small candle here. It looked like it gaining some more momentum, and really looking at my indicators here as well. I mean, it was riding pretty high on VWAP, and you can see here on my momentum indicator that momentum was looking very good as well. RSI was also continuing to creep up. So all of these indicators were telling me that this was going to be a nice little push, and that we were going to try to watch and observe how this was going to react as it approached that resistance yet again. And so I was observing this, I was watching and seeing how this was reacting. You could see how the candles were yet again getting smaller. These green candles are starting to shrink up a little bit, and then all of a sudden it broke through that resistance. Well, now we have a winner, and now it is decision time. So it started to break this resistance, and so then we looked for other areas of resistance, that being the previous high of that day during earlier in the day when it had its first initial run before this pullback. And then we told ourselves, okay, 1020 looks to be that next area of resistance. Didn't even care about 1020, just kept on going. And then at this point, it was like, okay, well, now we can really kind of make a decision to sell anytime that we wanted to, because it just kept on running. So we were able to sell into this run. But really, this is just a basic understanding of how price action works. And just to give you another small example, AMD was another one that we looked at to try to learn how to grasp this concept. And again, it's just a basic understanding of price action. There's a lot more complexities as it goes on, but this is just another basic overview of how price action works. These setups don't always come around. You have to actually look for them. So if you have a watch list of stocks that you're looking at, and then you see a pattern like this, or you see price action like this occurring, then you can be like, I wonder if it's actually going to reject the support and start to create those green candles again, going the other way, forming that reversal. That's what you want to look for. And there's no better example here than what we're looking at AMD. So if I zoom in here, you can see how this was rejected at this resistance here and continued to kind of climb down. Now, again, this is on the 5-minute chart. Look at all these big red candles, and then they start to get smaller and smaller, a little bit of consolidating green candles here, and then yet even smaller red candles to come down to this support and continue to reject it. Once it rejected it, you could see buying starting to surge in. Look at this crossover on my momentum indicator here, as well as RSI starting to heat back up. It was a very clear indication that this was going to be a buying situation. You want to go long on this, and so that was a very good setup to try to understand how this price action was going to work. You could see that the momentum of the selling was starting to dry up and that buying was starting to occur again. And so this was almost a no-brainer to really come back in here and start to ride this wave to the long side on AMD. Now, my one and final example here is going to be Netflix. Now, Netflix was actually like really steady, really nice channel that it stayed within. You could have flipped in and out of this all day long using price action. So again, this is another good example of how this gets rejected at this resistance here, comes all the way down, rejects the support, starts to bounce. But see, here was where I was not so keen on taking a position here, because there wasn't really a clear indicator that this momentum was going to continue just yet. Even though it didn't look, it was just way too choppy. Volume was a little bit all over the place, so I just wasn't comfortable taking this trade. But once I noticed several red candles here and they started to shrink up, you could see the momentum was starting to slow here, and then boom, nice green candle, I should say, and then it started to make a nice move back up. So this is actually when I took a position on Netflix. This is the other day, yesterday. Took a position on Netflix and then made this move again. And again, you could see how this started to dry up and started to create that momentum, and then actually ended up getting rejected again once these green candles started to shrink up some. And same thing happened. You could do this all day long. Certain setups are better than others, but again, this is just another small example of how this works. So I'm going to give you one final example, and that is going to be on Facebook. So looking at Facebook here, you can see how at the open, this was on Monday, that you could see this huge, sell-off, right? There's big, huge red candles, some consolidation, some light buying here, but really the momentum was continuing to come down. But look how much smaller these red candles get. See how much smaller these red candles get before it starts to come back down and reject this support. Very clear indication that there's going to be some sort of movement back up. So marking this support area and observing how this momentum is starting to slow down. You see how the red candles are getting much smaller than they were up here previously when they were much larger. You can see the selling pressure, or maybe even the shorting pressure was pretty strong here, and then you could see these red candles starting to get much smaller and then really start to make that turn. And again, the indicators that I have here, I have RSI, my momentum indicator. You could really see where this crossed over. You could see where the RSI started to pick up. All started to happen when you start to see these candles drying up on selling pressure and meeting that support. So then it makes that turn. This is boom, easy buy here. You could have made a trade from 198 all the way up to really 200. That was a pretty clear resistance right there if you want to make a trade just to kind of flip in and out. This is great day trading setups that you want to take a look at when you're looking at price action. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to price action. There's plenty of other opportunities and examples that you can look for to make buying and selling decisions, but this is just one simple and basic example of how price action works and how you're able to make profitable day trades doing this one simple step. Now, again, it's very basic. So if you want to learn more about that, check out the links down in the description below. I have a mentorship where I go live with folks via video chat every single day of the week. And people love that community. It's a great place to be. People are learning and growing every day. It's awesome. I really love the mentorship that I built. So go check that out if you want to learn more. And that's going to do it for me, guys. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content such as this. And as always, guys, I will see you. And as always, guys, I will see you all before the bell. And B Smith is out. See ya. Today, I made one of the biggest mistakes that any rookie trader would make, and that was just not being patient. But fortunately, patience also helped me pay off and turned a red trade into a green trade. So I'm going to tell you exactly how the whole process of this trade went down and how you can learn